So something happened um, at 2 a.m. Eastern, and we wanted to get to it. We did an upload about it, but we had to kind of take it down because the sound wasn't there for some reason. The sound played here in the studio, but not on YouTube. Maybe they're mad that I'm talking about what I'm talking about, and they're just kind of trying to censor us because that's what they do. They work with the Democratic Party to censor people. They'd work with the Republicans too, but these companies are heavily favored by Democrats, and actually they're full of Democratic supporters. So, supporters of the Democratic Party. But that's not why we're here. Although censorship is real, they've censored our channel quite a bit. So, uh, uh, Kevin McCarthy just became Speaker of the House. Uh, I, I'm not sure if you realized, but we did a video yesterday, and in that video we talked about how Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert, and I think Gosar or someone, they were also joining in, and uh, just keeping Kevin McCarthy from becoming speaker. And you have to wonder, why? Why were they keeping Kevin McCarthy, the leader of the Republican Party, from being speaker? Oh, I know. And we went over it in yesterday's video. Um, they did it because what they were trying to do was they were trying to get some concessions out of Kevin McCarthy, but Kevin McCarthy was being an ass, a little butt to them and said, I'm not doing it. Hell no. Their demands, some of them were, to have bills publicly available for 72 hours so the public can view them, which I think is a good thing. I agree with. They want issues to be voted on individually instead of in one giant bill where it's all crammed in and cluttered and you don't know what the hell you're voting on. Nobody knows what laws they're passing because they're all so big. And so I agree with that one as someone who's into politics. And then they wanted to remove the speaker whenever the hell they want. If they're not supporting what the Republican caucus wants, well, okay, fine. Then we want to get out. We want a new speaker. And I completely agree with that. What I didn't agree with was their demands to cut Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security and food stamps. I don't know why Republicans think that's a good idea. Oh, entitlement. Oh, what? People paying their taxes, so you're giving their money back to them? I don't know. Okay. But we give Ukraine hundreds of billions of dollars in economic aid and military funding in Israel and Saudi Arabia too. Whatever. And the arms dealers here in the United States and around the world. So what the Republicans were doing was they were seeking having they had some concessions that Kevin McCarthy, I was about to say Kevin Hart, but Kevin McCarthy had to make. And if he didn't make them, then he wouldn't become speaker. And that's a policy or a strategy that Democrats called force the vote. Democrats wanted to force the vote to bring Medicare for all to the floor for a vote, to the floor of the House. And what we wanted, not Democrats wanted, but like people that were Democrats, progressives and independents everywhere wanted the Democrats to withhold their votes from Nancy Pelosi, the squad, the progressives, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, what's the other one? Ayanna Presley, Raul Grijalva, Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal, Marie Newman, all of these guys. And I don't know if Marie Newman was there at the time, but no, she got it. Yeah. So that's what we wanted. We wanted them to withhold their vote from Nancy Pelosi so that Nancy Pelosi couldn't become speaker until she brought Medicare for all to the floor for a vote, to the floor of the House for a vote. That's what we wanted. But see, here are the two differences. I'll go over them again. We went over them in the last video between the Democratic and the Republican parties, and even just the voters. Republican voters, the Republicans are not really scared of their base all that much, but what they are scared, they're scared in the fact that Republican voters are not afraid to vote you out at all, at all. So Republican voters would say, you better do this. You better. They're very much united and very, very much ready to fight. And so are the Republicans in Congress. They are ready to get down and dirty. You saw with Matt Gaetz, and I forget who it was that went up to him and wanted to beat the hell out of him. He had to be physically restrained. Okay? Because he voted present on the second to last vote, the 14th vote. Now it went to 15th. It went to the 15th ballot. So the Democrats, in Congress were making excuses for why they couldn't do force the vote and why they couldn't bring Medicare for all to the floor for a vote in the middle of a pandemic. By the way, I'm not going to say what shut down the world, because we could get shut down if I even say the name of the thing. The what starts with a C and ends with a D, and it ends with a it sounds like yeah. So I'm just trying to be careful. Anyway, they made a bunch of excuses. They lied. They criticized and they harassed and lied and attacked lied about and attacked healthcare activists. And then they said that we all had problems with women of color, and that we were committing violence by asking them to hold our politicians and their colleagues accountable. That's what they were saying. People like Cenk Uygur at the Young Turks and Anna Kasparian, people like Sam Sater from the Majority Report, people like Mike Figueredo from the Humanist Report, people like David Dole from the Rational National, the guy who lives in Canada and already has health care. That's it's just funny. Kyle Kalinske, who makes over six figures a year and now has his Crystal Cow and Friends podcast and now gets to work on Breaking Points too, and Crystal Ball and all of them, they all went and I'm holding the mic for some reason. They all went and ran interference. David Sirota said that Kevin McCarthy could become speaker, and that was one of the excuses for why they didn't do it, even though that was a lie. He could barely become speaker this time, but they all ran interference for those politicians. They all ran interference for those politicians, and they didn't hold them accountable, so therefore they didn't hold Nancy Pelosi accountable. So that's all the Democratic Party. Now let's turn to the Republican Party. What did they do? Well, you saw them this time around. What have you seen before? Mitch McConnell nukes the filibuster. They run over the Democrats, and they get whatever they want passed because they're not afraid of the Democratic Party. It's like the Democratic Party in the Senate is like, oh, we have to be nice to Republicans, and we have to work with them, and we can't ignore the filibuster because it's a tradition. Like traditions can't fucking change. So they can't effing change that. So the Republicans do it, and now the Republicans in the House were saying, "Oh yeah, all right, we're gonna burn this thing down. We're basically gonna withhold our vote from Kevin McCarthy if you don't meet all of these demands, the ones I went over in the beginning, and if the votes being public, the bills being separate, and the issues being separate, and the being able to kick the speaker out if they wanted to." So they said, we're going to withhold all of our votes until you give us what we want, until you meet our demands, until you meet our concessions. And guess what? Kevin McCarthy at the last minute must have just figured, I haven't become a speaker yet. It's Friday. And now Saturday early morning. So let's go ahead. Fine. I'll give you what you want. That's what he did. That's what Kevin McCarthy did. That's what Matt Gaetz got. That's what they did. It's incredible how Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert and all of these guys, all of these people, all these Republican holdouts used their leverage and used their individual vote against Kevin McCarthy to hold him accountable and prevent him from being speaker and becoming speaker until he met their demands. Now, did they get a call from their donors and the donor said, fuck off, F off, vote for Kevin McCarthy. This has gone on long enough. It's bullshit. Maybe. Or did Kevin McCarthy meet their demands? I think he met their demands. I do, because because this is politics 101, using your power to get what you need done. And the Republicans just showed the Democrats how to actually be strong and how to use power and how to not be chumps and how to not be lapdogs for your leaders and sheep. That's what the Republicans did, is they taught the Democrats that they're not going to listen. Hakeem Jeffries is never going to listen. He's just going to cave to the Republicans. Like my good friend Naeem, he just caves to every woman who tells him to punch himself in the face, and he'll just punch himself in the face. That's it. So, and it's true. Naeem is a great friend of the show. I'm just saying, he caves. Just like, but against the guys, he stands up for himself. It's so funny. But the Democrats, they cave, and they make excuses, and they lie. They lie because the Democratic Party, like the Republican Party, but here on this show, we cover the Democratic Party because everyone else covers the Republican Party. I'm one of the only few shows that doesn't. that doesn't ignore the corruption of the Democrats. The Democrats are corrupt. The Democrats take money from all the big money special interests, all the bankers, big health, big pharma, big tech, the war industry, the finance industry, the real estate industry, the landlord industry, the you name it, they take all of that money. And we've gone over that too here on the show. So this is just a little lesson on how you use your power. How? Okay. So Democrats just didn't do it. They lied about it. They didn't force the vote on Nancy Pelosi, so she wouldn't become speaker until we had Medicare for all on the floor for a vote. They didn't force the vote when it came to the minimum wage in that must pass virus bill, that thing, pandemic bill that Joe Biden needed in March of 2021 to pass. That carried those tiny ass little fucking stimulus checks, the effing checks that you got versus the Wall Street ones that got $5 trillion and more, and more than what they got under Trump. And so anyway, they did enforce the vote on that because we sent a sternly worded letter. Yeah, like that scared Joe Biden. We didn't get a minimum wage. So anyway, Republicans forced the vote, and it shows that you can use your leverage, that you can use your vote, you can use your voice, and guess what? The Republicans are just gonna, you know, the Republican leaders are just gonna have to do what you want and meet your demands, or he wasn't gonna become speaker. He wasn't gonna become speaker. So Kevin McCarthy knew that, and it looks like he caved in the end, just like he should have for those Republicans in order for them to vote for him as speaker. Otherwise, yeah, we would still not have a speaker tonight. So, hey, it looks like force the vote was right, and all those liars, all those establishment freaks who take billionaire checks like Ryan Grimm and Cenk Uygur and David Sirota and all of them, all them liars. Because it looks like force the vote was the right strategy all along. And that's exactly how Kevin McCarthy became Speaker of the House. That's how he did it, because he listened to them and he caved to their demands and he gave them their concessions and then they voted for him. That's it. Amazing.